Tons to tackle this Thursday, June 26th, 2025. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Got a live guest going to join us in about 15 minutes. Stephanie Trussell. She is the former lieutenant governor with Darren Bailey in the 2022 gubernatorial election. She's tossing her hat into the state house seat for her district as a Republican. We'll also have to get her take on Governor J.B. Pritzker announcing a third term today with a tour across Illinois. He's going to be in Chicago, Rockford, Peoria, and then Springfield at like 6 o'clock this evening. So he's announcing a third term. We'll obviously be talking a lot about that in the days and weeks and months ahead, as looks like the 2026 election is getting fired off in fine order. But we've also got to tackle the latest demographic information from the U.S. Census concerning Illinois' population, and it's, according to an analyst, not looking good. You've got the state of Illinois losing more people under the age of 18 at a quicker rate than any other state, including New York and California. So we'll take a look at that next. All right, I want you to get to thecentersquare.com, where you can get the newsletter. It's real simple. Just sign up for it and get the latest headlines there. But you can also find the podcast on thecentersquare.com or wherever you find podcasts. Just search Illinois in Focus. Or you can wake up with us each and every weekday morning here for Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. I'm an editor for Illinois at the Center Square. And be sure to get the headlines each and every weekday morning right here with Illinois in Focus Daily.
Year after year, tens of thousands of U.S. citizens are fleeing the state of Illinois. It ranks only behind Governor Hochul's New York and Governor Newsom's California. You all are protecting and harboring illegal aliens for political purposes. Governor Pritzker, would you support prohibiting illegal aliens from being counted in the census, yes or no?
Your numbers are wrong, sir.
Would you, yes or no?
Your numbers are wrong, sir. Our population is increasing. We have a higher population as a result of the census that was done in 2020.
While that might be true for year after year, seeing just 1 year of population increase over 4 years, the state continues to lose population, and the most recent census data shows Illinois losing more people 18 years and under at a faster rate than New York and California. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning. You can see the latest headlines at thecentersquare.com, where top of the headline, you've got census data showing Illinois losing 18-year-olds and under at a faster rate than New York and California. Now, this is data that was embargoed until this morning, so we actually got our hands on this data yesterday early morning and pouring through it, and it's a lot of lines of spreadsheets, and there's 20 different types of spreadsheets for each state, and it breaks it down by age, by race, by gender. So go to the centersquare.com. You'll be able to see this. Now, you've got the headline, of course, being we've seen fewer 18 and under, while the aging population continues to grow. State gained 68,000 people from 2023 to 2024, but Illinois lost nearly 89,000 people since 2020, according to the most recent census data that was released today. But it also shows there are fewer people under 18 with the 65 and older population growing. I talked with Ted Dabrowski from WirePoints, and he broke down the numbers a bit and shared just how detrimental this is.
Well, yeah, there's some I'd say very dangerous new data in this census data, and we have fewer young people, we have more old people, and very worrisome is that we have fewer working age people. So all those things are going to work against a state that's got big debts and already high taxes.
Now,
very, very dangerous.
It's the final vintage 2024 population estimates that were released yesterday. So this is going to be like the final subset of data that the U.S. Census releases. And what it shows is in 2024, there were more women than men, 51% to 49% in Illinois. The median age is increased from 38.6 years old to 39.4 years old. The national median average is 39.1, which is up 0.6 years since 2020. But the census also shows that across the country, older adults outnumbered children in nearly half of the U.S. counties in 2024, including in counties across Illinois. While there are counties in Illinois where it's reflected, where there's more older people than younger people, statewide, at nearly 2.7 million Illinoisans under 18 years old, that compares to 2.2 million of Illinoisans over the age of 65. Now, across the country, the census says that the population 65 and older increased by over 3%, while the population of 18 and under decreased about 0.2%. Now, Illinois' numbers reflect that, with an increase in the 65 and up population by 62,500, but 18 and under decreased by 26,800. Since 2020, there have been more than 172,000 fewer Illinoisans 18 and under. So that's over the past 4 years. 172,000 fewer 18 and under. That number is surpassed only by California in raw numbers, with 485,000 fewer 18 and under. In New York, 230,000 fewer 18 and under. But if you look at the percentage decline, California had a 5.45% decline. New York had a 5.7% decline. Illinois had a 6% decline in the number of people 18 and under. So it's moving at a faster rate than New York or California. So let's hear more of what Dabrowski had to say about all of this. He acknowledges that, we've gained population over the past year, but the past 4 years, the census confirming Illinois continues to lose population.
Oh, I think we're still on the very, very dangerous trend of depopulation. Over the last 4 years, we still have negative numbers. Yes, we grew over the last 2 years, but the reason is very obvious. All you need to do is look at the net international immigration, and it just jumped. Typically, we're somewhere between 15 and 30,000 net international immigrants coming into Illinois. The last 2 years was 93,000 and 113,000. So you're talking about a massive jump, enough to make Illinois grow for those 2 years. But what we know now is that Biden's open borders are now shut. And so you can imagine, well, we still may pick up some people from other states. That in theory should be domestic migration. But without the foreign big illegal immigration coming in, Illinois is going to shrink again. And it's much worse than that, Greg. It's not only that, we're losing our wealthy people and we're gaining very poor people. And from a tax-based perspective and from a workforce perspective, from a productivity perspective, it's very dangerous for Illinois. We're continuing on the wrong path.
So Dabrowski, drilling down a bit further on all of those demographics that the census put out. And if you go to thecentersquare.com, we looked at some of the racial components of all of this. One demographic where the state gained is in the Hispanic and Asian populations, which increased 217,000 combined since 2020. The American Indian and Alaskan Native population increased by more than 7,500 over 4 years. The Asian population in Illinois, 93,000 increase, and the Hispanic population, 124,000 increase. When you look at other racial demographics, there are 187,000 fewer white Illinoisans than in 2020, as well as 31,000 fewer black and African Americans in the land of Lincoln since 2020. So you can see here some of the other demographics. But Wire Points with Ted Dabrowski, he went a little bit deeper and showed some of the other age classifications. And when it comes to the population from 19 to 64, they found that Illinois suffered the 6th biggest percentage loss of working population. So that's 19 to 64, right? Prime working age, maybe later on in those later years, not so much prime, but still, you've got a large percentage decline of working people. Dabrowski saying that something here needs to change, and it needs to change fast.
Yeah, I think it feeds into what's been going on for the last couple of decades, where our property taxes keep going up. If you look at ATTAM data, we're the highest property taxes in the country, and some of the stuff we've reported, we have the number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 6 highest metro areas in the country for property taxes. And when you look at this, an older population, fewer workers, this is a recipe for even more pain. And then if you take a shrinking population, assuming that this net international immigration, illegal immigration stops and slows down, and we've seen at the border it's almost zero now, we're going to be back to losing population. And we have to also remember, it's also not only are we losing population, but our peers are growing. And if you look at all of our neighboring states, they've been growing. If you look at the successful states like Tennessee and Texas and Florida, they're booming. And so we're falling further and further behind. Fewer investments, fewer companies here. It's a recipe for the problems we've had, and we don't seem to be changing our policies at all to stop that.
And that issue of the demographics on the working age people, where we're seeing a decline in that population. And while we're also seeing, an increase of international migration into Illinois over the past year, Dabrowski says you really got to look at who the earners are and who are the individuals not earning as much, leaving fewer people with fewer money to pay for Illinois' continued operational costs and legacy debt, like pensions, $140 billion unfunded.
Well, we've seen over the past, whatever it is, 20 years, we've seen the people that we're losing, they make more and more money, the people we're losing are making lots of money. The people we're gaining from other states make a lot less. The gap continues to widen. So we're losing our wealthy, we're losing our most productive, our entrepreneurs, and we're gaining back, as we can see from the data, we're gaining back people who make a lot less. And when you add the massive net international immigration we've had, the illegal immigrants, we're losing wealth, and we're taking on people who are highly dependent on the state. More of a recipe for disaster. And I blame a lot of that, of course, on the sanctuary status of the state and the sanctuary status of Chicago. Why we haven't stopped those? Well, we know why. We should abandon those things right now and try to get back to growth. We have to change all of our policies to get back to attracting people, attracting wealthy people, attracting entrepreneurs, attracting investment. Right now, our policies do the exact opposite. And the numbers prove it, Greg. The numbers prove it all.
So Dabrowski giving him a chance there for final words and analysis of all of this with the demographic numbers released by the U.S. Census this morning. A conversation I had with Dabrowski yesterday on that embargo data.
I think that the biggest new thing we know we've been losing population. We know we've been losing our wealthy. But we know now from this latest data is that we're losing our young population, right? It's shrunk by 6%. That's a big drop. Shrinking by 6% are young, right? They're our future workforce. Even worse is our current workforce has shrunk by 150,000 people, 2%. So and our aging population is up by 11%. So this is going to be really, really difficult to manage. Fewer young people coming up in the pipeline to take jobs and pay taxes. Our workforce is shrinking. Wow. We better dramatically change our policies and flip the dynamics of our state, or we're going to be in massive trouble.
Something to watch here in the years ahead, and how those demographics are ultimately going to change the shape of Illinois. As the country itself getting a little older, some places seeing some similar signs that younger people are not outpacing the increase in the number of older people. which when you think about it, younger generation is the one that's going to be paying for the older generation's well-being for the most part. So fascinating stuff in the land of Lincoln. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning for the latest here with the Center Square. All right, everyone, stand by. Got to get a live guest set up. Governor J.B. Pritzker announcing a third term today as he makes a pitch to get your vote. Believe it or not, we're there. 2026 election starting in fine style. Tons of people already tossing their hats into the ring for various races. We'll see what kind of field the Republicans offer for the gubernatorial election. We'll also hear what the governor has to say today. He's got 4 stops, one in Chicago, Rockford, Peoria, and then in Springfield this evening. And he's obviously spent millions of his own dollars in his political campaigns. He's a billionaire. He's on his second term, getting ready for the third term. So it's going to be a lot of conversation about Governor J.B. Pritzker, but also what does this mean for a possible run for the White House in 2028? So clearly the governor is going to be asked those questions quite a bit throughout the day today. But somebody who ran against Pritzker as lieutenant governor for the Republican Party in 2022 is now tossing her hat into the ring for a state house seat. So I want to bring her on now to talk about the general politics of the Illinois legislature, but also to get her reaction to Governor J.B. Pritzker announcing a third bid for re-election. Stephanie Trussell joins us now. She was the Republican lieutenant governor candidate with Darren Bailey in 2022. Stephanie, thanks for taking time with us this morning. Let's go ahead and get your reaction to the governor announcing that he is running for a third term.
Thank you so much for having me. I don't think anyone is surprised that he's running for a third term. I guess us on this side of the aisle, people that are right of center, we're confused how he could have the nerve, the audacity to run for a third term, considering his track record over the last 2 terms.
What do you think are some of the biggest criticisms that Pritzker's going to have to navigate this next election?
Well, let's talk about losing a congressional seat. The numbers don't lie. People are fleeing Illinois. Let's talk about all the major corporations that have moved their headquarters or much of their operations to other states that are friendlier to businesses. I mean, look at what's happening in Chicago. The fact that we're a sanctuary state offering sanctuary to people that are here without our permission, but citizens here have no sanctuary from the taxes, the fees that we are paying to make up for the people that are flooding our borders here in Illinois.
Stephanie, we've got, of course, the political landscape in the state of Illinois dominated by Democrats. Every statewide constitutional office, you've got the House with a supermajority, you've got the Senate with a supermajority. How do you feel that Republicans stand a chance in a state like Illinois?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked me that question. I was fortunate enough that my mom sent me to private school, so I was taught by nuns, and they really drill basic math. And I think about 78 in the House, 78 Democrats over 40 Republicans. That's an improper fraction. And I just want to break it down like this. There's 78 Republicans in this state that we can put up against those Democrats. If we just put up 78 solid candidates and flip simply 20 seats, we can make a big difference. We can go back to Springfield at the negotiation table instead of being in the super duper minority. I know we can do it. You're trying to tell me that we can't make sure every Democrat has an opponent, that they have to print signs, that they have to print literature, because they're running on their track record. Look at the budget they just shoved down our throats. Look what's happening to our state. So I am motivated. The fact that Trump only lost by 9 points, that's almost a victory in Deep Blue, Illinois. I just go back to our roots, which is Abraham Lincoln, which is Ronald Reagan. This is the land of Lincoln. This is the birthplace and where Ronald Reagan was born and raised. Yes, we can do it. Those two presidents did things that people said they could never do. And I am so ready to take on that charge.
Stephanie Trussell joins us. She is a candidate for a state house seat currently being held by Democrat State Representative Tara Costa Howard. Obviously, you still got to get through a primary season. Not sure how many other names are going to toss their hat into the ring for that, even for the Democratic side, for that instance. But the big thing that you highlight on your website, Stephanie, is the Homeschool Act that
Yes.
Costa Howard brought forward. What do you think that says about her chances to maintain that seat with as large of an outpour of opposition there was to that bill?
Well, I think the Democrats were very brilliant in having her introduce this bill because they felt she was so popular. She didn't even get an opponent last time. So they figured, who can we give this charge to? Who's going to do this for us? They knew this was going to be an unpopular bill. They've tried it before, but I guess they had no idea how they were going to take this quiet group of people who like to just be by themselves, taking care of their children, pouring a classical education and their values into their children. They woke sleeping bears. They came together. I was at a picnic recently celebrating the victory, and they said, we normally like to keep to ourselves, but as a result of Tara Costa Howard, they've come together, they've united. And so I don't think they underestimated the power of those homeschoolers. I was very fortunate to travel the state, 102 counties. I've been hugged on and prayed over. I've been to many, many, many homeschool events. I've even judged a homeschool debate event a few years ago, even before I was a candidate. These are people you don't want to mess with. And I kept hearing over and over again, if this bill passes, I'm going to leave Illinois. Can we afford to lose any more good people? I joke that the Democrats have become my vacation planners. I've been to Naples, I've been to St. Cloud, Michigan, and I recently got back from Port Washington, Wisconsin, because people that I love are fleeing and they have new homes and they invite me out. If I just get there, I get to spend the weekend in some amazing places. And I want to make sure good people that live in Illinois, that love this state, don't feel like they have to move, like they have no choice. I am ready to go down and defend the best state in the union. I'm willing to go down and fight against what's happening in Springfield. I just need, 19 other people to win. I'm very confident in my ability to outwork my opponent. After going on a season of, again, driving for 5 hours to speak for 3 minutes, driving for 2 hours. The fact that I have these three major towns that are right together, I feel like I can run the district in what compared to what I had to do last time. I'm going to knock every door because I know I won't be able to match her penny for penny when it comes to raising money. And J.B. Pritzker has deep pockets, but I'm simply going to outwork her. I'm going to knock every door 2 or 3 times to let people know who I am. Common sense. I moved to DuPage County in 1994 with 3 children. I wound up raising 5 children here. And more importantly, my granddaughter attends the same school district where her parents met. I'm very dedicated to DuPage County because of I have 5 adult children here and I have a business here. So I'm ready to fight to make this a place where people stay and not flee.
We're talking with Stephanie Trussell. She is a candidate for the Republican nomination in a state house district currently held by Democrat State Representative Tara Costa Howard. You mentioned Governor Pritzker's campaign money. I kind of want to reflect a bit more on what the governor plans to do today with a announcement for a re-election campaign. It would be a 3rd term for him as the lieutenant governor candidate for the Republicans alongside Darren Bailey, who is the gubernatorial candidate in 2022. What kind of advice could you give to whoever is going to be the Republican candidate heading into the 2026 gubernatorial election?
Well, I happen to live in DuPage, and as you know, our sheriff, who has kept this county safe, who I just love for his passion and his dedication to making sure he can do whatever he can, because he doesn't want to see those guys back in his jail, guys or women, getting gang tattoos removed, teaching giving them an opportunity to earn their GED or work skills. And so I really like James Mendrick. I'm not sure exactly how full our site is going to be when it comes to the primary, but I know we've got some great candidates. And so I'm motivated by this. And what I would tell everyone after spending over a year of my life on the road, don't be afraid to hang out in those collar counties. You have to spend time in deep blue Chicago. And that's the comments that I would hear when I would go to events in Chicago. Those people would say to me at town hall, they would say, we only see the Republicans 2 or 3 months before an election. Go there. Those people have been showing up at these city hall meetings, begging to be red pill, saying we're not going to vote for the Democrats anymore. And so it's time for us to engage with a group of people that we thought were solid blue, but they've shown us recently that they share our values. They want to join us in this effort to defeat J.B. Pritzker and everyone down in Springfield that are just, I love how they say, let's tax the rich. Let's make them pay their fair share. But every time you look around, it's this regular, hardworking people like you and me that are getting nickel and dime to death. If it were up to them, we'd be paying $1.50 every time we got an Amazon or a food delivery. How is that making people like J.B. Pritzker pay their fair share?
Stephanie, for people interested in learning more about your State House candidacy, where can they find that information?
Well, I'm on social media quite a bit, and I just got back on X, and so I have to get better at posting there. I know that's a place where people like to get a lot of their information, but I'm an old lady, so I do a lot on Facebook. I have my personal page, Stephanie W. Trussell, and my professional page, Stephanie Trussell. My website is Trussell, F-O-R, spelled out, Illinois.com, and you can sign up to volunteer. My first event as a candidate, I'm so excited to be walking in the parade in my town. A couple years ago, Tara Costa Howard came over to me and my family and shook our hands in this parade. And this year I get to go and stand with my banner hopefully a lot of people will show up at the junior high in Lisle. We only have one, and get there before 9:30. And I'm going to give you a t-shirt if you come and walk with me to show the Democrats that we are going to flip the 42nd.
Stephanie Trussell, candidate for the 42nd House District for the Republican nomination. Greatly appreciate you taking the time with us and also giving your perspective on running for lieutenant governor and the types of things that Republican candidates could find useful heading into the 2026 election. So appreciate your time this morning.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning for the very latest in how you are impacted by state governments here in the land of Lincoln. Plenty more to tackle, especially with the 2026 election seeming to get back into full force. Holy cow, are we really there already? I think we are. And you'll be able to stay up to date each and every weekday morning here with Illinois in Focus Daily. Members of Illinois' congressional delegation defending climate change philosophy and also diversity, equity, and inclusion philosophy during two separate hearings yesterday. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. While we focus a lot on what's going on at the Illinois State House, as I'm the editor of Illinois, watching all of the legislative action and the bills that come in that are going to increase your taxes and such, there's a lot to tackle. And obviously, coming up July 1st, you've got several things that the state has enacted that you're going to be impacted by, and that is the gas tax going up July 1st. Again, tied to inflation, tied to, the cost of living increase. So that's going to go up again, a couple of cents per gallon. But you've also got tobacco taxes, sports betting taxes, long-term rental taxes, a variety of corporate tax changes that are going to be implemented as part of the budget July 1st that begins. So that's just around the corner. But, over in Washington, D.C., they're also doing stuff that impacts you. And you've got a delegation of Congress people in Washington, D.C. that, have hearings and such. And one of those is U.S. Senator Dick Durbin, who during a Senate committee hearing talked about climate change and the science that he believes is real.
Climate change is real, and it's a huge threat to our economy, our environment, and our way of life. These facts are undeniable. We need you as young people in America to stand up and say to our generation, get the hell out of the way. You're screwing up this planet and we have to live with it. So give us something that's more hopeful and positive. And it isn't by finding conspiracy theories involving China. Instead of holding this partisan hearing to push conspiracy theories and fossil fuel industry funded attacks on state climate policy, we should be holding bipartisan meetings to address the cost of climate change and to identify bipartisan ideas to produce more clean energy, create jobs, and lower energy bills across the country, and maybe give you an earth that you can live on.
So again, that's Durbin talking about how climate change, he says, is real, and we need to stop with the China conspiracy theories. What exactly are those conspiracy theories? Here is Senator Ted Cruz talking about energy and, how a lot of people, especially in a state like Illinois, looking to close coal-fired power plants by 2035, 2040, looking to focus more on wind and solar instead of base load generation like coal, like natural gas, like nuclear. But here's Ted Cruz, senator from Texas, talking about, what's really going on here with the climate change push to get to more renewable energy that some argue is not reliable.
Project tells judges that, quote, the consequences of a business as usual scenario would be catastrophic. That's called propaganda. And yet it goes on, it encourages the judiciary to view climate litigation as a, quote, unique opportunity for, quote, accountability. It even recommends embracing novel tort theories, like public nuisance, to assign liability for greenhouse gas emissions. Let me ask, is this neutral? Or is that lobbying behind closed doors? The materials even applaud pending lawsuits, praising the Rhode Island AG's case as, quote, well-crafted, while failing to mention that similar claims have been dismissed by federal courts as legally baseless. And who funds these baseless CJP trainings? The same dark money donors who bankroll the lawsuits themselves, the same networks that support Scheer Edling LLP. This is not how a constitutional republic functions. Courts are not supposed to be laboratories for political activism, and judges are not supposed to be trained by the plaintiff's bar that is receiving their funding from the Chinese Communist Party. What we are witnessing is judicial capture, driven by ideology, powered by money, and tolerated by far too many. This three-pronged strategy, foreign funding, mass litigation, and judicial indoctrination, is a full-spectrum assault on American energy independence. And while China drills and digs, we sue and shut down.
So interesting to hear what Durbin called a conspiracy theory from Senator Ted Cruz, laying out his understanding of the facts. So that's one hearing going on. And of course, in Illinois, we very much have a renewable energy focus, the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act and other legislation that is spurred on getting away from coal-fired power plants, getting away from natural gas-fired power plants, getting away from those baseload energy generation in exchange for wind and solar and battery storage. And even the wholesalers, the multi-state energy wholesalers, saying your energy prices are going up in Illinois because of an increased reliance on alternative energies, like, for instance, wind and solar. Now, are we going to have something change in Illinois that allows for larger nuclear facilities to expand and to develop? That was some talk during spring session for that, but it never actually materialized before the end of session. So a lot more is going to be said about energy in a state like Illinois versus the idea of addressing so-called climate change. But then in the House, there was a separate hearing, a House hearing on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Here is Democratic Illinois U.S. Rep. Raja Krishnamurthy talking about why he thinks that the Republicans' attack on DEI is misguided. Here's a moment from that hearing.
It has in its title, it is the Healthcare and Financial Services Subcommittee of the Oversight Committee. The more that we talk about subject matter outside the confines of what the subcommittee is really directed to, the less I believe that we are going to be able to come together in performing our oversight roles. And today's topic of DEI is a prime example of what we should not be doing on this subcommittee. I hope that we can return to a time where we can do bipartisan joint oversight with regard to issues squarely within the jurisdiction of this subcommittee. For instance, going after illicit vapes, which continue to plague the landscape and addict millions of teenagers to tobacco and to nicotine. Going after practices or companies or entities that might poison our baby food with toxic heavy metals. Going after those people who might prey on our youth through big tech. The list goes on and on.
So he's talking about how he thinks the focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion is wrong-sided. It's not to fit into this particular oversight committee. He continued on.
Real competition and true opportunity drive economic success. That's why it's no accident that Illinois is one of just 13 states that sends more tax dollars to Washington than it receives in services. Illinois does this by fostering diverse talent, and it invests in having the broadest opportunities for everyone. Those investments mean that Illinois ranks near the top nationally in economic performance, education, and quality of life, and Illinois is an engine of America's economy. Diversity is one of its drivers. There is no reverse gear for prosperity, and I will not go back to the days when the American dream was reserved merely for the privileged few.
So he's talking about the various lists that Illinois lands at the top of, but other lists Illinois lands at the top of is second highest property taxes, almost the highest overall combined taxation. You've got the outbound migration. We're among the highest states. We just looked at the census data this morning showing that we're losing more 18 and under people at a quicker rate than New York and California. You've got the sanctuary status, a bunch of other things. So you've got the Republican chairman of this House committee, Congressman Grothman. He talked about why he thinks it's important for this committee on oversight to look at diversity, equity, and inclusion policies.
The reason I took up this topic is because I think it leads to division. I think intentionally it leads to division, as we have been educating young people that we have a racist society and we should all view ourselves as an ethnic group constantly fighting with each other. I think that would destroy our country. I think some of the other members of this committee have pointed out when they talk about Marxist, I think they talk about it in a little bit different way than I do. I think it is trying to destroy our country particularly at a time when we have so many immigrants who are people of color from all around the world, to have a bureaucracy that is educating people that they should walk around with a chip on their shoulder. And I think on the face of it, the successes of people of color from around the world who come here, be it from Africa, be it from North Africa, be it from the Pacific, what have you, would indicate that everybody can make it in America. And I think people who talk about how horrible things are wind up only hurting the people who have to breathe this stuff in. I also tried to point out that diversity is not determined by where your ancestors come from, okay? Everybody lives in different backgrounds, has different parents.
So it's a hearing that happened in the Congress, two separate hearings there, one dealing in the House with DEI and the other one dealing in the Senate with climate change and other energy policies. If Illinois people are talking, we're going to be sharing it with you here with Illinois in Focus. I'm Greg Bishop, editor at The Center Square. Go to thecentersquare.com, get the newsletter, sign up today. You can find the podcasts at thecentersquare.com, or you can find the podcast anywhere you get podcasts. Just search Illinois in Focus. But you can wake up each and every weekday morning, get your cup of coffee, 8 o'clock, we'll go live with Illinois in Focus Daily. That's all I got for you on this Thursday. We got the governor announcing he is running for a third term. 3 different appearances today. 4 different appearances. One in Chicago, Peoria, Rockford, and then he's coming down to Springfield at like 6 o'clock this evening. But something else that I wanted to get in front of you, separate lawsuits challenging Illinois' State House Democrats' alleged abuse of the Constitution's 3 readings rule. Got hearings coming up in the days ahead. Now, State House Republican leaders, they filed suit against a bill that say is going to make Illinois a more litigious state. They have a challenge that's actually going to be heard for a petition tomorrow morning. And then that Freedom Caucus lawsuit challenging the budget on the allegation that it violated the 3 readings rule, they have their hearing coming up Tuesday. Both are in Sangamon County courts, so we'll be watching all of that as well. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning right here with YouTube or via podcast. It is Illinois in Focus Daily.